Are you excited?
Of course I'm excited. I'm with you, Martin.
Oh, so kind, so kind. You know how valuable this is going to be after you die. Alright, here we are.
How's it going?
How is it going? Let me knock that down a little bit. Good. So, gonna jump straight into it. Right, guys, so here we are.
He needs a new sign.
I need a new sign.
He needs a new sign.
That'd be point one, is that I need a new sign. Guys, welcome to Live Chats. This is a show where every Monday, even though you said it should be on a Monday and you're probably right, I bring to you someone who is successful in life and has a fantastic story to tell. And I'm here today with someone who is more well connected than Barack Obama, better dressed than Kim Kardashian, and more handsome than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson himself, Mr. Ian Kiely. How are you doing? Thanks for coming on, man.
He gets a little bit carried away there with himself.
Just a little bit carried away. So, look, I've done my research. I've looked you up and stuff like that, you know. Lying in bed some nights, just oh god, what a handsome guy, you know. And I won't get into it. I won't get into it while we're on Facebook Live. It should concern you, okay? It should concern you. But I think this is going to be an interesting one because we're digging into the kind of the personal side of you. Don't get too scared, all right? So it's a personal background story and stuff like that. So now look, you're obviously an interesting character. You've done a lot, to say the very least, and just for the small percentage of people who are watching that don't already know who you are, why don't you give us a little bit of a snippet?
A little bit of a snippet. I fly drones for a living. I do some work with emergency services, and I get to do loads of really interesting jobs, mostly to do with technology. And I've only been in technology for a few years, so it's been really exciting, and it's changed everything, actually. Yeah, it's changed my complete outlook on life.
So you're very modest.
I'm trying.
Yeah, you're very modest.
Any of
right?
my mates watching, they'd be like, shut up.
Stop being a dick. No, you are very modest, right? We could say an awful lot more about that. But yeah, so you worked with the emergency services, you fly drones, one of the leading experts in the country in terms of drones, head of the game, right? But it wasn't always that way. So
no, not at all.
Tell me about how.
Well, things that we've been doing lately, like we do supply equipment and support services to emergency services, but we also fly awkward jobs. We've been developing some technology. We've been looking at bringing new technologies to Ireland, and like very few people in the beginning were allowed to fly over cities and stuff.
Sure.
So we legitimately get licenses from the Irish Aviation Authority to work in locations where they were built up or were crazy. So I was working in front of Dublin Airport one day, and the planes were like only maybe 1,000 feet above me.
Woohoo.
So and there were other guys like me out there doing this kind of stuff. But my team, we run the Drone Expo and the RDS, and I think that's just kind of pushed us out there a little bit further into the world where people are noticing what we're doing.
Makes perfect sense. So before we get into all that cool stuff that you're doing now, right, I need to take it back a little bit.
Okay.
And I need to ask you about your start in life. So how did it look from you? What sort of background did you come from? Where did Ian Kiely start his...
I came from a nice neighbourhood and I went to a nice school. But I am a grafter. I was a caterer for 20 years. In the end, I had a cafe and a wedding venue myself. Things got a bit tough from the downturn, and then I had a second time I'm having a serious injury, and all in all, I've had 6 knee surgeries, and then I had the shingles, and I had a really tough road. I basically spent 6 months laid up in 2010. And then I spent the whole of 2014 in bed, the whole year.
The whole year?
Yeah. Now I could get up and go out for a coffee and somebody could drive me, but like an hour later I'd be bollocks and I'd have to be back in bed again.
Yeah.
My leg was elevated for about 7 or 8 months. So I couldn't really do anything for myself. And all my family and friends had to rally around and help me do everything, really. Shopping. In the beginning they helped me like get in the shower. So it brings you back down to earth a little bit when you can't look after yourself. Yeah. I mean, you're living on I was living on the dole too.
Yeah.
And then they took the dole off me because I was sick, and I wasn't technically job seeking. And I will say the Irish state is brilliant. They directed me and said you can go here for help, and I mean it was brilliant, and it allowed me develop new ideas. And I went looking for grants and things, and even stuff that I didn't think was available to me. With a bit of research, I found ways to make it available. So they started giving me money to help me set up a new business and help me live. So it was pretty hard graft.
Yeah, I imagine so. So what was kind of like, obviously everybody has a breakthrough moment, shall we say, and you've touched on the struggles that you've had there through the sicknesses and everything. But what was kind of the moment where, you know, kind of something fell into place for you, or your big breakthrough as of yet? Because I know you.
Yeah, I'm still on
you
the
know?
road. I by no means have we achieved all the success. We're still a long way to go. We've done really well. A friend of mine encouraged me to start looking at drones as a future technology, and I went off and I thought about it, and I went, Jesus, there's not a lot of people doing that, and I can hear my phone ringing in the background. Let's just ignore it. It's probably my mate's doing it on purpose.
Probably.
So my mate started talking about drones, and I started trying to picture, well, what could they be doing? So I started writing. You disconnected there. I started writing stories.
Anyway, sorry about that, guys. Take 2 YouTube, take 2 Instagram, take 2 Facebook. We're back, right? We're back anyway. So you're getting into it. You're saying that you're very much.
Well, where the turning point was.
Yeah, where was the
turning point? My mate started talking about drones. I'm sitting at home and I'm like, oh, and I have nothing to do, obviously, for months and months and months. So I started looking at the possibilities that it could be. Yeah. And I started thinking bigger, and I was kind of looking at the military drones, and I was looking at the stuff that's coming out now, and like kind of going, well, somewhere in between the military stuff will eventually meet the small stuff, and we'll have like drone taxis and we'll have drone delivery systems. And people laugh at that, but it's getting really serious. The Irish government put 6.2 million into this, and like they listed 5 or 6 names, and then they listed 15 more companies. And I know all those 4 or 5 people that they're listing. Like these are real people that have, like Fergus Foyle, Tim McCarthy from NUI Maynooth, like he's a serious thought leader in technology. And like a team he just helped get funding just won the European Space Agency Award, and they're Irish lads.
Oh my God.
And they've developed this amazing search and rescue app. You can take it, put it into an off-the-shelf drone, and it starts searching for people. I think 8 times faster it will find somebody than traditional methods for hunting for a lost person. I'm talking over thousands of acres of land. Like this stuff is really happening, and the Irish government is supporting this in loads of ways.
Yeah. So the technology that you're working with, the drones and everything, are effectively going to save people's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are saving people's lives already. Yeah. Dublin Fire Brigade are using them. They have a thermal camera as well that they can put on the drone. They can live stream that, and they can see everything that's going on. They can manipulate the data that's live streaming and use it to find those people amongst the smoke. Yeah. And you can't see them, but you can see their heat signature.
Yeah. So you've put yourself in this position of authority, basically. You know, I know you don't see it that way. You don't see it. He doesn't see it that way, right? But no, let's call it spade a spade. You know, some of the most important people in the country in very high up positions will ring you for your help, right? Now, at one point, you had nothing, like some people watching this, right? You started from the bottom. So for the people who are watching this now and they're like, okay, I'm not anywhere yet. I'm at the very start of this journey, but I want to put myself in that position where I'm in demand, where I'm the go-to guy. How do you take an industry and how do you make yourself the go-to guy? How did you do that?
There are several go-to guys, and they're all grafters like myself, where you have to keep looking for money, looking for ideas, and particularly at the beginning of a new industry. Like we came up with loads of good ideas, and by the time we got to market with it, other people were doing a better job,
right? Or
had already they were just ahead of us. But sometimes we've hit the nail on the head. There are everybody that's starting out. You can't take no for an answer. There's always a way forward, and don't be afraid to ask people for help.
Yes, ask for
you know, ring and ask, and go, hi, hey, dude, I'm starting out. Particularly at the very beginning, I think it's much easier. There were like the guys that I trained with iFly Technology. The team that were there really supported me, and those lads went on to set up Drone Star Search and Rescue, the same guys, and everybody just needs to support each other and ask the question. So like I started with nothing, but so did those guys, and we're all getting somewhere.
Epic, yeah, absolutely. And I asked everybody this question, right? It always kind of, people are like, oh shit, like, you know, but no, it's a serious question. But seriously, answer this in a professional capacity or a personal capacity. But the idea of, obviously, of the show is that, you know, people are looking at it for inspiration. They're looking at it to, you know, basically improve their lives, right? But they have to also understand that failure is a good thing, and everybody fails, right? You've got to come through it one way or the other. So I ask you the question, personally or professionally, however you choose to answer it, what is the one biggest struggle you have encountered in your life so far, and how did you overcome that?
I had one major failure, and I've had lots of failures. We all have lots of failures, and I don't necessarily know if failure is the right word, but the first time I got injured, I thought I was the king of industry. I had a pretty successful little cafe and a wedding venue, and I somewhat took it for granted. But taking 6 months away from it, the first time, did it serious damage because I wasn't there putting in, it wasn't set up that it could operate without me.
Yeah.
And I should have dealt with things differently then.
Yeah.
And that created a knock-on effect, and the economy got harder and harder. So it actually became harder and harder to fix the problems that I'd created. But it was a successful little business in its own right up until a certain point. The thing I learned most was you actually sometimes have to sit back and cut your losses.
Yeah.
And it's this is why I don't really like using the word failure. I should have looked at it and probably cut my losses earlier there. Mm-hmm. And I would definitely do it now. I mean, you and I worked together on a project briefly a couple of months ago, and we got to a point and I did the maths and went, actually, you know what, this probably isn't the best project for us, and I pulled the plug on it.
Yeah.
And we lost a small chunk of money compared to what we could have lost on the grander scale of things. And we didn't lead anybody on, we all shook hands, and everybody was actually quite happy at the end going, this didn't work.
Yeah.
Whereas if we hadn't sat down and pulled the plug on that, we probably would have pissed off a lot of people.
Yes.
And we probably would have lost a lot of money, and other people would have lost money too. So it's about knowing also, during that time when I was trying to decide whether to pull the plug on that project, somebody said to me, oh, a good entrepreneur knows that he has to just keep driving. And I thought about it and looked back at my previous mistakes and went, actually, a good entrepreneur also knows when to say no, actually, that's enough.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've fully learned that yet.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I took away from failure.
Yeah, and I mean that was, I don't know how deep you want to, go into that, but that was a pretty large scale project. Can we touch on it at all?
Go.
So the project was basically Crash Tech.
Yeah.
A large exhibition that was due to take place in
City West. We had a deposit on City West.
Yeah.
We had Casey Neistat booked. We had a serious deposit paid to Casey Neistat. We were way down the road.
Yeah. And
in hindsight, we should have given ourselves more time. Mm-hmm. We ran into one or two roadblocks, we had serious insurance problems, and all of this was completely out of our hands. We were actually really trying to deliver. So sometimes you just have to know when to and take a step back.
And that's huge. I mean, let's.
I was working on that for a year before I met you.
Wow.
And then I put 5 full months of my life, I gave up working to do it.
Yeah.
And I had a team, 4 people in my office working full time, and I had 3 part-timers as well. We proper went for it.
It's huge. Yeah. I remember it well, and just to put it in perspective for again, if 1 or 2 people don't know, so Casey Neistat is obviously probably one of the biggest YouTubers in the whole world. So you've invested over a year.
The thing is, let me just frame this. We also run the Drone Expo in the RDS. It wasn't unreasonable. We didn't just decide one day we're going to have a tech. We were thinking about it for a long time, and we already knew how to rent a big venue and fill it, because Drone Expo's quite successful. 1,800 people showed up to year 1 and 2,500 showed up to year 2.
Yeah.
So we didn't just decide we were going to do this.
Yeah. No, it's just something that exactly.
To put people. To do an event like Casey Neistat, you need to have 200 grand to deliver an event like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm going to move on from that point now, but I think the takeaway point for anyone watching or listening to that, and again a shout out to people who are, Kerry, Greg, Dylan, Jason, Robert Murphy, how you doing guys? Thanks for tuning in. The takeaway point is, look, if you can, you're in that situation, you have thousands invested, more importantly you have months and over a year of your life invested. It failed, right? But here you are.
Well, we pulled the plug because we could have done within 6 months. There were little things that happened along the way that kept tripping us up, and it removed time from us.
Yes.
So we actually wanted to get out before the summer, and I contractually bound not to say what happened, but things were getting in the way, and I just had to make a call on it.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that I did now.
Yeah.
And you got the social media team that works in this building were working with us. And I rang them and said, look, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
But we came out, we cut a deal, and everybody was happy.
Yeah, everyone's happy. Exactly. So we're past that now. Let's forget about the failure for a second, but it's important to know how you overcame that, because everyone has to do it. Let's talk about some of the success now. Drone Expo. Can we touch on that?
Sure. Drone Expo. So my friend got me interested in drones, And I was laid up, and I decided I became a drone pilot. I went and did the training, got a license, got insured. And then I was at a big meeting in Western Airport. We were in a hangar. All the big wigs from Irish Army, the Navy, the police, they all showed up. And I was like, oh my God, people are taking this real seriously. And then it went out in the news, and all these people started showing up trying to get in. And I was like, oh, we should do an expo. And I was already talking to my friend who'd given me the idea of getting into drones, and then another guy who was willing to invest in our company. So I sat down with them and I went, actually, nobody's doing an expo. We should look at doing an expo. And 5 months later, we delivered the first expo. took a major risk. We rented the RDS like 2 weeks later. Not the whole RDS. And we started making phone calls. We started ringing people, going, get on board. And like, we took a big risk. And I won't say how much it cost to put on a drone expo, but it's a lot of wedge. It's like a deposit on a house.
Wow.
You know, so you're taking a huge risk. And then you've all these people going, oh sure, I'll come, and can we not come for free? And you're like, no, not really. Like, I have to pay for this.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, rent, insurance. You know, just to put context, when you go to an event and you spend €10 to buy a ticket, right? 23% of that €10 is VAT. So you're already, you know, at €7.70. Another euro per person for insurance is €6.70. And so now it's €6.70 per person, and you haven't paid for any overheads, no light or heat. Say another euro for light and heat, your ticket printing. When you start adding all of that up, so suddenly you're not actually left with a whole lot of money.
Yeah. And
people don't really understand that. So we took a lot of risk.
Yeah, most definitely.
But I mean, when I say it's paid off, like I'm going to do, my team, my business partner and I, we're going to Peter Downey. We're going to do more drone expos. You just can't do it all at once.
Yeah.
So I suspect it'll grow the next time, and the industry itself and the amount of users has grown considerably, and that helps.
Yeah, for sure. So let's say there's someone sitting at home and they have this idea for a project like you did with the Drone Expo. Like, what is your advice to those people who want to get something off the ground, want to get a project off the ground? Like, what's the 3 most important things they should do?
Before you start telling people, you should figure out who you're going to contact and who's going to spend their money with you.
Yeah.
You should have a website or a go-to place for people to go and look, and you need to have good content there. We failed at that in our first year. People were coming to, like, we tried our best, but they were coming to a website that we really didn't have enough information on. But when you're starting out as well, what information do you put in? Because it's the chicken and the egg scenario. So those 2 things, have somewhere for people to go. And the third one is be upfront with people. You know, we were really open and honest about what we had and how we were going to go about it. And like, I rang every radio station. I tried to get partnership deals. I tried everything. Nobody wanted to know us. Drone Expo we ended up getting FM 104 at the last minute, and they were great. They supported us. And then next thing, News Talk's ringing me. While News Talk, which are a great radio station, we approached them and that we weren't big enough, and they turned us down.
Yeah.
And while they rang me to ask me would I do an interview, somebody from a different department from the same radio station rang me, and both of them were asking for an interview. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. 2 weeks ago I couldn't, which is fine. Like, it's the nature of it. And then the likes of, we did stuff with 98 FM, and we've done a lot of different, so we've done stuff with 2FM.
Yeah.
And once you start getting that momentum going, then it starts to build itself.
Yeah.
It's still hard graft though.
Oh, absolutely.
And like, getting up at 6 a.m, calling people from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m, and then responding to all the emails from all the phone calls till midnight, and that's what it takes to get it off the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge. And then of course, in the caption, the post I put up about the show earlier.
Okay.
Right. I mentioned the fact that you, like, definitely a seriously well-connected dude, right? Now we don't know what you get up to, Ian, to make those connections, right? But like,
bad stuff and good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff and bad stuff, right? But everyone needs to be connected, because connections are the way forward. As I just witnessed in the room next door for what you did for me, that I've been trying to like get in touch with this dude. I don't know how to even mention.
Well, I came into the office, Martin was telling me, I want to get into this market, and these are the people I want to target, and blah blah. And we started listing names. I went, and I just took out my phone and rang a guy, and he's got an interview with him now before the end of next week.
A meeting before the end of the week. It's ridiculous, right? So that's that. Okay, so how do you? How the hell did you get that well connected, first of all?
Well, I'm 15 years older than you.
Yeah.
I know I look great, but I am 15
He looks great. Ladies, he's not single, so don't try it.
well, I was a caterer for 20 years, so you meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm a loudmouth, and I'm chatty.
Yeah.
And I like to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So whenever I go to places, I meet people. And you're kind of chatty, loudmouth, and you like to have fun. And you know loads of people. You just haven't had enough years on the planet yet to know loads of people.
Yeah.
My mates take the mickey out of me, like everywhere we go, you meet somebody.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Sergio worked on our team. And Sergio quietly says, when I say hello to people, he goes, "Oh, Ian for president," behind him. And we were joking about this, and we were in the Gaeltacht, and we were in the middle of nowhere. Like, there wasn't a house for miles, and we were meeting a client to hand over this big drone, and we're getting ready to demonstrate it, and this guy walks by. I mean, not a house for miles. This guy walks by, his dog goes, "How are you, Ian?" With Sergio, our South American friend, just looks at me. He's like, "Everywhere we go." Everywhere.
No way.
But it's the Irish way too.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know those people. When you walk around here in your vlog and everybody goes, "Oh, hey, Martin."
Yeah, true enough. Yeah. But no, it's great. Most famous person in your phone book then? You know what to say?
Most famous person in my phone book. Well, Casey's in my phone book.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know that many famous people. I know lots of people. And I know lots of people from when I'm young, and they all have really good jobs now.
Yeah.
So we've kind of grown into. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're 25. The mates you're hanging around with now have really good jobs later. And but yeah, I do have a lot of numbers in my
you've
phone.
lots.
Yeah.
We both know there's no need to list them. You know,
I know a lot of people.
it's great. It's good. So I suppose I want to look now towards the future if we can.
Okay.
And I do ask everybody else this question. And by the way, just before I jump into it, guys, if anyone has a question for Ian, either on Instagram or Facebook, please just drop it in the comments below, and we will ask him. Don't miss your opportunity. This guy can answer some serious questions. Ask the question.
Come on, yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on. Ask questions. At least.
Except my mates, you're not allowed to ask anything.
Every one of you drop a comment. I want to see your questions, Instagram or Facebook. So let's look towards the future now.
Okay.
And what I want to know, I have two questions. The first is, what's directly next in line for you? What's your next big, exciting project that's coming on?
I wish this was a week later. I'm about a week away from releasing what I think is going to be a pretty decent project. Something I'm working on. I'm testing Intel's drone at the moment.
Yeah.
They've got a Falcon 8 Plus. They bought this company about 2 years ago. Intel are really getting big in drones. So we're testing that. The camera on it's awesome. But we're going to build 3D models with it. That's one of the things. And the other thing we're working on is surveillance, but it's like really, really high-end surveillance stuff, and it'll probably be for events and things, but I can't really say a lot about it until it's ready to go out in market.
And that's the thing we were talking about.
Yeah. Now, I mean, just to point out, the Irish government spent 6.2 million last week. They're investing into, we talked about, sorry, they're investing into a team of guys. They're working on like delivery systems and taxi systems for drones in Ireland. Imagine you're standing out in your field and your tractor breaks down. There's no reason you couldn't have a replacement part within an hour.
Wow.
All paid for by your phone and delivered to your phone, and this is all really possible.
Yeah.
There's places in Japan that already get their mail by drone.
Yeah.
In Dubai, you can already get a drone taxi. It already exists. You get in, you Uber style thing. You go up to your helipad, you jump into the drone, and it'll take it any other helipad. And it's really safe.
Wow.
Like, it's as safe as driving, if driving is considered safe.
Yeah, if it's considered safe.
If it's considered
I don't
safe.
know whether
like
it
1
is
million
or not.
people a year die globally from car accidents. 90% of those are in third world countries.
Jesus.
And the drones will all work on a hive mind kind of thing, so they won't actually be able to go into each other's airspace. So the likelihood of them crashing into each other is very slim.
It's slim, yeah.
Yes.
And in perfect keeping with the disastrous technology day that we're having,
Yeah,
we have crashed
Facebook
once again, and that's it. Okay, so if you're joining us back, we're pretty much towards the end of the interview now. We're here with Ian Kiely. I could say a lot about you, man.
This is do whatever you want.
I'm going lenient, you know.
Sweating here, take my jumper off.
Not all good, you know. One of Ireland's leading drone experts, exhibition organiser, speaker, charmer with the ladies. You know, very well dressed gentleman. Love the white t-shirt, by the way. You know, you're rocking it. But you've done a lot, and we've touched on it. If you haven't seen the previous videos, go back and watch it, please, or check out on YouTube. You're going to see the full interview. But we've touched from your beginning. We've touched on your failures and some of your successes. We've touched on what's next. So what I want to ask you for the last question is, let's say I come back to you in a few years' time, right? I'm looking about 20 years down the line here, and I want to know, what is it that you want to have achieved at that point? What is it that people will say?
Well, in 20 years I'll be 60.
Yeah.
I'll be really surprised if I get that far. Given the madness the way we've been going. I'd like to have gotten to a point whereby I'm working because I want to work, not because I have to.
Sure.
I still want to be engaged in the technology and stuff, but at that stage, people will be looking at me going, look at that outlaw, like, you know, going around his electric skateboard. I arrived here on an electric skateboard.
He arrived on an electric skateboard. It's incredible.
So, what I'd like to be doing, I'd like to still have an input into what's going on in the industry. Like, I know the industry is going to expand so dramatically. There's going to be thousands of people involved, and the more people there are, the less your voice is heard.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed having a voice at the table. There are loads of other lads that do too, and guys that have run really good training schools and sell drones, and you know, there's quite a few of us that have gotten the industry this far. But I'd still like to be involved in it at that point. But I'd like to have a couple of mil in the bank, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Just so I can sit back and relax.
Take a handy for a bit.
I might have to just marry a rich woman.
Any takers, drop a comment below. No, it's cool. Well, look, I hope we can revisit this if you're still alive in 20 years.
Yeah.
And we can make sure that you've hit those big ambitions and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, if interesting stuff happens in the interim, you can have me back and we can do an update.
Let's definitely do an update.
You know,
Yeah,
go on and look. I did a TEDx there in November. Go on to the TED channel, look up Ian Kiely drone, and it'll appear, and it's quite interesting, if I do say so myself. You'll learn a bit about where the technology came from, where it's going, and like the kind of mad stuff you can expect. It's only like 20 minutes long. Go and give it a watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you have an interest in Drone Expo at a later date, go to the Drone and Tech Expo Facebook page and like it. And when we start putting out new information about the next expo, we will post it there, and you can come along. Like, the expo consists of the Irish drone racing team. We had the army there last year. The fire brigade came along, and they were all demonstrating their equipment. We had loads of interesting stuff, and we always have new technologies there. So like, we had electric skateboards there 2.5 years ago before they were popular. We had the one wheel. We've always got interesting stuff, and everyone gets to try it out.
Yeah.
So like, on the family day last year, we were teaching kids how to fly drones inside the RDS. You know, and we were providing everything. So it was pretty cool, like.
Incredible.
Yeah. I actually, most days I don't mind going to work. I'm having such a good time. Actually.
Yeah, I know.
You get to a certain point where people give you a lend of their technology, and they think you're like this specialist. They're like, oh, have a go at this, and you're like, okay, sure, I'll have a go. And I'm learning like everybody else. You know, it's good fun. But go out if you want to start something, make sure you enjoy what you're doing, because otherwise it becomes a serious chore. Absolutely,
great advice for sure. If someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do it?
ik@droneconsultantsireland.ie, or go to the Drone and Tech Expo website. And you can contact us through there. There's email addresses and phone numbers and stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So on the latest video, any comments there, Jack, before we wrap it up? Apart from we've had so many tech issues that we've split this interview into like 4 different videos. But I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has tuned in so far. Ashlyn Hoban says, Jackson, I presume that's for you. So you need to give a shout out or something to Ashlyn Hoban.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and Ashlyn?
Yeah.
Jackson's our new tech guy. We heard him today.
Yeah.
First day on the job. I feel like you should come around and say,
come around and say hello,
camera.
Be part of what's going on.
Just first day on the job.
I literally look like a typical technical guy.
He does look like a typical.
He dressed like a technical.
Those glasses and stuff, though. It's a good look. I don't know. I feel like you could give me some fashion advice or something like that.
And if anybody has an interesting story they want to tell, contact Martin.
Yes.
Give him an outline, and you might sit here yourself and have a go. Like,
absolutely.
Martin is going around looking for really interesting stories. He was scraping the barrel a bit with me. I said I come in.
No, not at all. That's bull. That's bull. Top of the barrel, to say the least.
Anyway, yeah, give him a shout if you've got something interesting to say.
Yeah, appreciate it. And don't forget to email Ian. And actually, what I'll do is, that's amazing. You've done a TED Talk. I'm going to share that on my page after this. People could be listening on podcasts or wherever. Just check it out. I'm going to share the talk after this. So guys, that's it. Thank you very, very much for tuning in to Live Chats this week. Apologies again for the technical issues. And remember, every single Monday, I bring to you someone who is successful in life and has an interesting story to tell. And thank you once again, Mr. Ian Kiely, for being one of the most interesting interviews yet. Until next week, guys, have a great week and see you then. Take care. Awesome.
We good?
We made it in the end. Thanks, man.